Brilliant. Senator Roberts.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for attending today. First question is, what has Coal LSL done since last Senate estimates in October to address the errors and wrongs identified in employer data, and when will people be compensated? And what is the total number and value of the errors uncovered to date?
Thank you, Senator. Darlene Perks, CEO of Coal LSL. I'll address the 8 individuals firstly, Senator, in my response, who were identified back in October. So since October, we've had interactions with the 8 employees who were made aware of and their employers. We've received and reviewed the information which has given us visibility of a discrepancy in their records with 6 of the 8 employees. One of the 8, there was found, and the employee has confirmed this, that the records were correct. And the final member of the 8, we are still assessing his records. The data was received late last week. So I'll talk about the 6. Sorry.
So go ahead.
Yes. So of the 6, they are all aligned with one employer, and through that assessment, we understand with the employer they had a complex structure prior to 12 months ago, which resulted in the administration errors in the reporting of the long service leave hours. That employer amended their structure 12 months ago and is reporting the long service leave hours in the last 12 months in that more simplified manner to minimise any chance of administration errors. However, as we're now aware of these errors which could have arisen from the data prior to 12 months ago, the employer, with discussions with ourselves, has agreed to do a review of all of their workforce going back to 2010 to see if there's any discrepancies that need to be amended for that period of reporting.
Who is the employer?
Programmed Tessa Group.
Okay. Have you gone through, now that you've identified some errors in some employees, have you gone through any others?
So, Senator, the other employees of the 8 were linked to another employer who is an employer of casuals in the workforce, and said there wasn't found to be any discrepancies with that employer and the data that they had submitted. What we are doing, though, is now assessing whether there is any other anomalies that should be assessed through the employers who employ casual workers. Any misreporting of hours will have an impact in 2 areas to the fund. One will be a financial impact. The other would be an under-accrual of hours for the casuals. What we're particularly focused on is with the casuals, if there's any under-reporting of hours which are under 35 hours, because if the reporting has been at a level of 35 hours a week, they would have accrued the equivalent of a full-timer under our legislation. So any discrepancies need to be amended, but we're particularly focused on any discrepancies that could have resulted in an under-reporting of hours for the employees.
And how wide are you casting the net?
We'll be looking at all employers who employ casual workers in our records.
Okay. Does Coal LSL believe that there is a conflict of interest given that your board comprises directors from black coal mining employer companies and directors appointed to represent the mining and energy division of in the Hunter Valley of the Construction, Forestry, Maritime, Mining and Energy Union, especially as these parties have entered into agreements that disadvantage casual black coal mine workers?
Senator, being a corporate Commonwealth entity, we have obligations under the Public Governance Performance Accountability Act. Directors who are appointed by the Minister have a strict obligation to adhere to their directors' duties, and if they didn't adhere to their duties, I would suggest that would be dealt with by the Minister.
So I see that as a sidestepping. Really, we've got conflicts potentially, as I see it, between employers who are represented on the Commonwealth reporting entity and supposedly representatives of the employees also there, and yet both have, well, not the representatives, but both entities, the employers and the CFMMEU and the Hunter Valley, have colluded to underpay these casual miners. So surely that must raise alarming questions.
I can only talk to my interactions with the directors. I've been CEO since January 2017, and all the interactions that I've had with the board through that period has been appropriate, and directors certainly have met their directors' duties. Any conflict of interest, if there's a matter which is particular to a director's day job, the director would make note of that conflict, and the chair would assess whether that director should be removed from the discussion or not have access to the papers. So that is part of our governance regime, and is part of every board and subcommittee opening agenda item to address that matter.
What I'm saying is not necessarily that the directors have a conflict. They may be completely ignorant of this, but surely if the lady next to you, Senator Payne, came to me after the last Senate estimate session and said that she was very disturbed about the things that were unearthed in Senate estimates. And we've got an employee organisation, the CFMMEU in the Hunter Valley, and we've got employers working together to strip miners of their basic entitlements. I mean, that's as plain as day. So surely that's raised questions with you.
I could only talk to the long service leave scheme, Senator, and
what I'm saying is the two entities involved who are on the board, some of their people have been involved in stripping miners of their rights.
Said decisions that are made in their day jobs isn't part of the remit of the board of Coal LSL, and the decisions and discussions that are made through our remit.
Mr. Simon Turner's service record is still incorrect. Coal LSL has acknowledged that Mr. Turner remains, quote, an industry-eligible employee whilst in receipt of workers' compensation payments, and his service history must be amended accordingly. Yet I hear that, quote, Coal LSL has contacted Chandler McLeod a couple of times since to check on the progress of completing the forms, end of quote, with no result. Will Coal LSL take immediate action and enforcement action against Chandler McLeod to correct this discrepancy?
So we're in discussions continually with Chandler and Mr. Turner, and we'll be reviewing the records on hand. Should we see it appropriate to use our powers under Section 52A to subpoena information from Chandler, we will, but that will be part of our assessment. Mr. Camberry might add.
Yes, Peter Camberry, General Manager Legal of the Coal Mining Industry Long Service Leave Fund Corporation. Senator, I met with Mr. Turner as recently as this week over the phone to discuss his ongoing dispute with his former employer. We have again offered Mr. Turner the opportunity to provide us with his records from his perspective so we can review and compare those and engage Chandler McLeod in that discussion. Furthermore, we have undertaken to escalate the matter again with Chandler McLeod. The difficulty that we have, of course, is that we're trying to mediate this dispute between the two parties, and we have indicated that if we don't get a satisfactory outcome, and we believe that there's still matters to be pursued, matters outstanding, we will use, as Ms Perks said, our powers under the legislation to subpoena material.
But my understanding is that Coal LSL has accepted incorrect employee work hours routinely, where the work hours are actually under the actual work hours. The reported hours are under the work hours, less than the work hours.
Are you talking about Mr. Turner's case?
And primarily, yes. So what action are you taking against Chandler McLeod?
So, as I said previously, we have talked to Mr. Turner about providing what he believes his record should state. As you rightly point out, we have what Chandler McLeod have told us, so we want to do some comparative work there, because without Mr. Turner's evidence in that regard, we can't pursue that matter further. But the ongoing issue of underreporting, I think Ms Perks just dealt with in the previous answer to your question. It's something that we take seriously, and we have ongoing strategies to deal with that.
Over the past few years, Simon Turner has made 3 written requests to Chandler McLeod to have his payment made pursuant to the Coal Mining Industry Long Service Leave Act in Section 39CA. Payment should be made within 30 days. It has not been made in full. What are you doing about it? The same answer as the previous one?
Yes, Senator. I mean, we have encouraged Mr. Turner to maintain that, provide us with the records of some further evidence to assist us in this investigation, and hopefully they will be forthcoming.
One more question, Senator Roberts.
Why did Coal LSL not action a review or audit of data integrity right through your records until such time as this matter was raised at Senate estimates by me. That's, who's in charge of corporate governance?
Miss Suzanne Jenkins, who was acting CEO while I was on leave, is in charge of corporate governance, Senator. What I will say to answer that question, accurate record keeping is an important part of our functions, and we have three mechanisms.
Well, that's why I'm asking for it.
Yep, and I'll answer. Three mechanisms that we have as our ongoing process to continually verify the records, and we hold records for 123,000 employees, so it is a large scheme. We have internal reviews that are ongoing, employee-initiated processes, and the independent audit process.
But correct me if I'm wrong. Last Senate estimates, you just took the word of the employer and didn't check any.
Senator, at the last Senate estimates, I think your questions related particularly to Mr Turner, and that was, we were dealing with that at one individual case, but more broadly.
I stand to be corrected, but that's not my understanding. That I think I heard somewhere that you have never checked. You just take, someone said you just take what the employer gives you.
Senator Roberts, I'll make that as your last question. I'm just looking at the time. That's, could you just answer Senator Roberts' question, or if you wish to take it on notice, or...
No, I was going to give the context of the ongoing review and the further action that we'll be doing. We do rely on the independent audit process, an important part of our data verification. We will be, as a result of I guess the visibility of the discrepancies, thank you, that you brought to our attention. We will be engaging with the auditors to help them better understand certain areas that we'd like them to focus on, particularly in regards to calculation of casual hours and levy remit. So we will be embarking on an education program with auditors, and we will continue to look at how we internally provide stronger review processes to ascertain any discrepancies in hours. As you can appreciate, with casuals it is more complex because of the nature of the work, and to see a work pattern and understand a discrepancy is more complex, but certainly we rely on the three mechanisms to continually assess the records, and if we do find an error in records, we will do what we can in our powers to update that record.
Okay, thank you. Senator Roberts.
Chair, I'd just like to say thank you.
Okay, right.
While I appreciate your acknowledgement, the real thanks needs to go to people like Simon Turner, who've battled to just get someone to listen.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Senator